Some videos just don't work out the way I want them to. I always underestimate how long a video will take. I accept that it may take me 12 hours instead of 8, and I'm perfectly fine with it. But some projects take the piss. It usually happens once every few months, but since I turned 30, it's happened to almost every video. Maybe I'm getting too old for this. It most often happens when I'm making a video about something that I want to learn about myself. You might think in situations like this that it's best to start with the research, but I prefer to start with the script, because it helps me to remember how much or how little my audience will know about the topic when they first start watching, and will help me to answer the questions they might have about it. Of course, since I guessed the whole script before doing the research, most of it is wrong and stupid, but then I test things out and rewrite those bits of the script accordingly. But by doing research, I often learn that there are more questions that need asking and answering, and the whole process starts again. If this happens enough times, like it did with the DLSS videos, then even the very concept of the video can change. I realise I was asking the wrong questions in the first place, and will need to rewrite the intro to the video to keep it relevant to the path the video will eventually take. But the more I make these adjustments, and the more I build on the stuff I've learned since starting the video, the more I drift from what my viewers may think they will want to know about the subject. The sensible thing to do at this point is to start the whole video making process again, this time with the research already in place. But by this point, the day-long project will likely have bloated to maybe a week, and I've already spent so much time editing it together that I will want to preserve as much of what I've done as I can. The video becomes a mess of about a dozen different recording sessions, which a viewer may be able to pick up on where my voice suddenly sounds different. Don't worry, I haven't been kidnapped, and no, it's not like I'm getting help from kliksphilip. It turns out that it's incredibly hard to sound the same in different audio recording sessions. Maybe I'm in a slightly different position from the mic. Maybe I've just eaten some food and my voice sounds gurglier. Maybe I went on a night out and lost my voice a bit, but didn't have time to wait for my voice to recover. People think it's the compression, and I think if you compress loud sound files that the bass balance and stuff will be different from the quieter ones. But that's why I wait until the very end before compressing the audio track. It helps to mask these changes in audio, but it doesn't get rid of it completely. You'll notice this telltale sign in my DLSS videos, which were definitely the most troublesome project that I can ever remember working on, for all the reasons I've already stated in this video. I even threw in music to try and mask these problems. And then, after all this, I may be about to release it, but then I'll do my final, most critical viewing of my video. I've probably seen this video 30 times by this point, and I'm sick to death of it and can't wait to delete the project file from my hard drives forever. But I can't lose focus now. I have to be more critical about it than ever. I don't let any statement go unchecked. I recheck footage to make sure I'm right. I do all this because I know that if I don't, a viewer will. I'll research stuff that I've said for the 5th time, just to make sure that I'm right. I reread that NVIDIA DLSS blog so many times when we're making those 2 kliksphilip videos, and I'll usually pick up on some interesting wording, or will suddenly think of another question to ask. And I think to myself, well, I've already spent so long on this video, it's going to be a mess, so the least I can do is to get the content right. So then I'm back to square one again, typing up a script full of questions that I don't know the answer to. The video is a wreck. People will pick up on the audio thing. I can't be bothered to redo the whole thing from scratch. A final check of a 10-minute video can take several hours. I think I must have done that over a dozen times with those DLSS videos. I was sick of them, and it crept into LAN parties. I did it late at night, would get renders on before going on a walk to Audi. There was no escaping that project. Maybe, after all this, I'll push the video out in a rush, only to spot a small blemish with the editing 30 seconds after it goes live. If only I'd spent a few more minutes on one of my rewatches, I'd have picked up on that. If only I'd asked a few more questions at the beginning, I could have saved days of work. It's always so easy with hindsight. The DLSS videos were the worst in every way, for everything I've talked about in this video so far. But it's not fair they get all the credit. The cache FPS video was also horrible. I kept changing my mind about the hardware configurations to test, and kept adding more maps to compare. And then of course, hours before the video was released, it got an update and I started doing all kinds of mental gymnastics for why my video was fine just the way it was. I even posted a comment saying sorry and admitting that the video wasn't as good as it could have been. And to add insult to injury, these most difficult videos to make are often the most niche, the least viewed and appreciated of my creations. They are often about confused subjects that I chose to make a video about because I felt they required more research to fully understand. But because of that, many people may already have strong and misinformed opinions about them. I'll have to endure comments from these people who think that skipping through a Digital Foundry video on the topic means they're better educated about it than I am, even after weeks of my testing. I forget why I choose these topics to research in the first place. Often it's nothing more than a gut feeling that it could be interesting, or maybe what I've seen already about it has left me more confused and in need of answers. But as painful as it can be to make, it is very important that these videos are made. Time and time again, obscure videos are of value to me later on when developing future content, or even for completely unrelated reasons. And this happens far more often than I'd expect. I couldn't have predicted how valuable my Handbrake video encoding tests from 2016 would have been. They've changed how I've made, uploaded, and have stored my videos ever since. And my obsession with upscaling earlier this year has already more than paid off for me in so many ways. So while YouTube smugly informs me that my DLSS videos are less watched because people aren't interested in them, screw you YouTube, I like to think they'll pay off in some unexpected way at some unknown time in the future.